So he understands all the technology, so he can suggest to you what possible data structure you can use, but he will also tell you that, I spoke to 5 people and they told me that, they like to poke around, and that's the feedback that we get from users. We better work on it and then try and give them something that they will find useful. So we will have to really understand the user, and I think, there's a whole lot that can go into it, but when we try and put effort into building something, it is important for us to have some sense of who are the people who are going to use what we're building and how will they interact with the application. Then the product layer also brings out a bit of smoothing the edges. By that I mean that even a simple error message, now the platform breaks, maybe the application will not be working up all the time, so there will be issues. Now how can you smoothen those edges so that any experience that the user has with the application he will not find it very jerky. So he will still like to interact with the application. So for that the edges have to be smooth, and there is a very big messaging and communication angle, and I think Nitin mentioned about the copy and what works, what doesn't work, and how creative one can get. So there, talking in a language that the user understands, and not really an update, for example, is just not an update. So maybe there are 2 different versions of how can you put together an update, and what kind of updates do people see. So if I get an update from the application, that probably carries a different kind of a language, and if I get an update from my friend, that can carry another kind of language. So that the creative, the copy part, and talking to the user in a way that he will understand. Now some people might find things cute or sweet. Now whether we like it or not, you will have to tell them that something is cute and sweet, because that is when they're going to click on something and then use it. So having that part I believe is also important. And then I think Bacon also stressed upon this point of engaging users during the development, the launch, and the growth of the application. Having some sense of, we all start with some hypothesis because we are probably excited about some idea, so we think that a lot of people are going to use it. Now whether that turns out to be true or not, we will only realize after a certain point, but it's good to have some kind of validation of the idea or the hypothesis before we start working on something. And then while we are even building the application, I think engaging the users to give them some preview of what we are building so that we can get some feedback. And a lot of times this can be really surprising, something that we think, and I think coming out of that, what we think is probably very important. Sometimes what we think is the simplest feature or the simplest flow might turn out to be the most complicated one, and what we thought was a very advanced feature, might be the simplest thing. And then, in fact, a lot of times the product ideas themselves can come from the users. So they would say, can you add this feature? Can you add a new section and then provide all this information? So a lot of the times the new product ideas or the enhancements can come from the users themselves, and you will always have to be in touch with users even when the app is growing, because they have engaged with the app from the beginning, or even when you acquire the newer users. It's important that we are connected with them all the time. This is a slightly dated graph, but I'm using this graph just to illustrate that the top apps, the ones that you see on the left, really have the highest number of users. Now this is a chart by the user activity. The point that I'm trying to make is very few of the apps have the highest number of users, and there's a really long tail of apps which have very limited number of users or have very...
Who I think is not here. So anyone from Games to Win? I see. Please come over. Thank you, Kamal. That was for proof that we can do it. Next, I would like to call Vishu, who has flown all the way from US. Okay, next is Nitin.
Chandra.
Vinod, would you please come over?
Chandra.
Nikhil. Nikhil, please.
Tomorrow meeting you can know what we get.
Okay, so it's a book. So tomorrow we'll all share our feeds on Facebook. Okay, great. So we'll start with the Q&A session, right? So how do you want to do it? Start with those questions, and we have most of the people who would be answering in the first row. Do you want them to sit there? Or you guys can answer from here itself. You can just stand and answer from here. Abhishek, can you get a couple of mics here? At least one mic here. Abhishek, you also have those list of questions? Right, so that's the list of pair of questions again. So in the meantime, if any of you have any question, you can just we can just get started.
Hello. Okay. I spoke about some 10 points, right? What the baby boomers think about the next generation. It's really fun stuff. So let me just take a few minutes and read it out. And it's amazing. Okay. They think this generation is dumber, much dumber than they were at this age. They think they're screen gazers. They spend all their time looking at the screen. They have no shame at all. I spoke to you about this. The fourth interesting thing is they cuddle up to their parents. That's what they think. Because a lot of people in the US now, they stay with their parents much beyond college. Right? Earlier on, the moment they finish their college, they typically go out of house. They set up their own house. But now they stay back with their parents. So they think they're lazy. They steal. They bully people online. They're violent. They have no work culture. They only think about me. They're very narcissist. And they don't give a damn. So these are 10 points of this next generation, according to baby boomers. And the 8 things that's really important to these guys, and I think that's what we need to really look at is, one is freedom. They care a lot about freedom. Customization, they want things custom made for them. Scrutiny, they scrutinize everything a lot. Integrity, I covered that. The other one is collaboration. They like to collaborate a lot. And that's, I think, that speaks to the success of a lot of new social networks and a lot of applications about collaborations, for idea sharing. Entertainment is big. Speed is another one. They want things really fast. And I don't know if anyone of you saw the video that, again, getting Google again here, Google Wave. And it was explaining the whole thing. You know, in Skype, when you're chatting, you see the pencil go around. You wait for it. Come on, when would I see the message? Just like it. Things like that. They won't think people want things fast. The last part is innovation. They really like to be part of innovative stuff. Things that look cool, that look really different. So these are the 8 things that these folks really care about, and which I think plays a really important role for us, because at the end of the day, we're trying to reach out to them. Thanks.
So I'll read out the questions. I'll also ask the person who has written this question to just stand up and kind of explain it if need be. So the first one is, can I get a feed of my own status updates to post to other services like Twitter? Do we have the person who put this question here?
Get a mic. Twitter application which helps in posting your Twitter updates on Facebook, but I would like to do the other way around, because I'm a heavy Facebook user and I want my updates to be transferred to Twitter and other services. So is there a way I can do that?
There was Streams API which lets an application access your the stream you publish. Yeah. They could potentially do